gold issued. It's gonna still show 0 even though it's not 0. Presented by the Radical Dreamers, 1996. It all began with a notebook my mother handed me. She told me she found it while cleaning out the closet. This old notebook belonged to my grandfather who passed away years ago. It contains his distant memories. I wonder if you still remember how we first met and our many adventures. It all seemed like a dream. We ran like the wind during those warm summer days long ago. You were a piece of a star that fell from the sky. I can still relive the memory of those days long past. Just by closing my eyes like so, and whispering your name into the desert night. Kid. Kid. So see, is this Magus Castle? Kid. Hey, kid! Are you ready, kid? I know you're anxious, but stay on your toes. Yeah, likewise, mate. You mess up, but I'm leaving you behind. Got that, Surge? Come on, McGill, let's go. That bastard Link's gonna get what he deserves. Say your prayers, not that'll do you any good. Shooting star. So, wait. Now I have to do a little adjustment. Sorry about that. Supposed to be there. Okay. So now you know the secret, my terrible, terrible secret. My avatar has no body, it's only a torso. I got no legs! No legs! I promise future models will have legs. It's gonna be a centaur legs. Alright, so 2022, Square Enix. Hey. Oh, controllers. Change selection, confirm, cancel menu, auto text, adjust menu sound settings. Return to launcher if I press L2 or 2, L1 or 1, and option. Okay. Confirm. Okay, we're gonna confirm it's gonna be Serge. With an E this time. Serge. By popular demand, we're gonna keep it Serge. The old lady's tip-off was right on the money. The counterspell on the barrier around the other walls could have done a real number on us. Kid's plain, unadored braid flicked back and forth across her shoulder as she walked. We picked our way through the elaborate lattice of the manor's magic shield, moving in closer and closer to Lord Lynx's stronghold, where there were 3 of us, Kid, McGill, and me. So McGill has blue hair, I think. I guess it must have been 3 years already since I first met Kid. Back then, I was just a wandering musician, traveling wherever my feet would take me, and wherever a few tunes would pay for a warm bed. Is this McGill? It was in the Outlands, in a town called Regiora, when we first ran across one another. And since then, she's dragged me around on a whole bunch of adventures, And misadventures, too. Ah, kid. She was a thief. Not just any thief. Just a few months shy of 17 and already renowned as one of the realm's greatest. What's more, she was achingly beautiful, stylish, a joy to be around, and a dab hand at campsite cooking. Or so she liked to claim. The truth was a little different. Those bandits with hearts of gold you've heard about in stories, the ones who steal from the rich and give to the poor, yeah, that wasn't Kid's style. She was short-tempered, prone to lying, bossy, and obsessed with money, and rarely did she care to listen to a single word anyone said to her. But she wasn't all bad. Probably. Maybe. Sometimes. She had her moments anyway. I glanced over my shoulder to see a shadow hovering behind us, blending into the darkness like smoke. McGill. Also known as McGill the Shade. He was Kid's partner, but even after 3 years, I still knew hardly anything about him. Wait, so all this time, Serge was the musician? What? But it's been 3 years after the day they met. So it's 3 years after Chrono Cross. Okay. Good thing I played this after the game, eh? All I knew was that he was around 30 years old and not much of a talker. But he was one heck of a mage. I heard that he and Kid had started working together way before I met her. He always covered the top half of his face with a mask, and I've never seen what he looked like underneath. Ah! Was it Guile? I think it's Guile. He was a man so mysterious that it sometimes seemed like he was an interloper from another world. Or maybe it's Magus. McGill, Magus. It wasn't like Kid that was exactly big on details about her past, but McGill, he might as well not have had one. And Kid didn't seem to know much about her partner in crime either. What kind of a man he was, what kind of life he'd lived before, nothing. You might ask how exactly I wound up being a part of this merry band. Well, it's complicated. I guess you could say that life doesn't always turn out the way you think it will. Kid, who was heading up our little raiding party, suddenly dropped dead. Look lively, boys! We got company! We glanced around warily as cold, cruel eyes emerged from the darkness. I heard a low growl. Dark shadows prowled through the night, surrounding us. Yeah, we see feline eyes. Like, they must be panthers or bobcats. Or lynxes. Or just link with a shadow clone technique. A pack of wildcats! There must have been about 10 of them. A thrill of fear ran down my spine. Flustered, I pulled my knife from my belt. Kid calmly shifted into a fighting stance. Watch yourselves! I don't reckon these boogers been treated for rabies! The wildcats snarled and growled as they slowly closed in on us, drawing the noose tighter and tighter. Their eyes glinted in the darkness like fireflies, and strings of eager, spittled, dripped wetly to the ground. Then, one of them sent an almighty roar, soaring to the moon, and the hunt was on. What was I going to do? Attack, magic, defense, or ran? Oh my god, I can choose what to do. Think fast! Kid dived into the thick of the pack of wildcats and gave the largest of their number an almighty kick in the chops. Oh, that was time. I didn't know that. The startled beast gave a yelp as it was sent flying. I turned to my right to see a nearby wildcat was charging toward me. Its head lowered menacingly. Panicked, I tried to make a last-second dodge. But I wasn't quite fast enough. Its claws scraped against my side as it rushed past me. 9 damage! Ah! I winced in pain for a moment, then turned to face my foe and ready myself. I struck at it wildly, use magic. Not wildly. I slashed at a nearby wildcat with my knife. The beast tried to leap clear, but I was already too close. I felt the blade make contact. It was rewarded with a screech of pain. Ah, I didn't know it was an interactive novel. The wildcat jumped away, this time managing to put some space between us. It looked like I hadn't cut it very deeply. I stood my ground, changing my grip on the knife and waiting for another chance to attack. Serge, behind you! Panicked by Kid's warning, I whirled wildly around and came face to face with a pair of eyes blazing like hellfire. Mute magic. The wildcat was coming right at me. I twisted my body to avoid the attack, acting on sheer reflex. In desperation, I tried to recite the spell I only vaguely remembered, and failed to conjure up a single spark of magic. Fuck! I didn't know there was a fail in magic. What? I'm getting alerts from Elgato for some reason. The wildcat hurled its massive body at me, twisting my shoulder awkwardly. Ah! I was sent flying and my body rolled as it crashed to the ground. It would be only a moment before the wildcat struck again. I tried to stagger back to my feet, but my legs wouldn't cooperate. I heard a low growl coming from the right behind my head. Every hair on my body stood on end. I shut my eyes and prepared for the worst. But nothing came. Instead, I felt a blazing heat from overhead and smelt the acrid stink of burning flesh. I opened my eyes to see the smoldering remains of a wildcat and standing over it, McGill. He gave me a silent nod before swiftly dispatching another foe with a blast of flames. I staggered up to my feet, shaking my head into a vain effort to dispel my dizziness. I was breathing heavily. The handle of my knife was slick with sweat, and I tightened my grip. With a kick like a bolt of lightning, Kid landed a clean hit on the flank of a nearby wildcat. It staggered before losing its footing, letting out a pathetic cry, but Kid had already moved in to finish it off. And then the roar of fire. A burning smell filled my nostrils, and next to me, a shrill screech pierced the air. McGill's fire spell engulfed the head of a nearby wildcat. It fled, darting off into the darkness like an arrow. So we win? I scanned the area. Only moments ago, we had been surrounded, but now there wasn't a single wildcat left. Kid and McGill had either sent the rest off with their tails between their legs, or but paid to them once and for all. Ha! You're dreaming if you think a pack of fleabing monkeys is gonna stop us, Slinks! Kid crossed her arms and flashed a triumphant grin. Meanwhile, I was panting heavily and felt like my legs were about to give out from under me. I collapsed to my knees, overwhelmed by what I'd just been through. Whew! I'm taking a few hits, but I was fine otherwise. A couple of scars to talk about later, maybe, but nothing that would stop me carry on. Are you hurt? McGill looked down at me, his face expressionless as ever. No worries, Mag. He be alright, said Kid, barging in to get a better look at me. He may be a whinging sook, but it'll take more than a few scratches to kill this one. She was nothing if not sympathetic. But she was right. This was no time to be bemoaning my lot. We haven't even reached the manor yet. I dabbed at my wound with a tincture-soaked cloth and wrapped them in bandages, then looked up at the other two. We're just getting started, Soriyama. We have to carry on. No. We're just getting started, I grinned back, putting a brave face on things. Ha! That's what I like to hear, Kid surely announced from close quarters. But then her eyes turned cold like the cool glow of the moon in the night sky. It's going to be a long night. So, ASMR can opening? I nodded, trying my hardest not to utterly lose myself in her play of blue eyes. Alright, let's get this show back on the road. She turned away and marched off deeper into the trees without looking behind to see if me and McGill were following her. McGill, of course, was already right behind her, his unhurried gait making it seem like as though nothing much had happened at all. I jumped back up to my feet to chase after them. I'd be in for even more trouble than I bargained for if I got separated from them. The dark forest inside the manor's perimeter seemed to go on forever, a labyrinth of trees and boulders. The manor itself loomed in the distance, glowering over the vast grounds, and hidden within was a veritable mountain of treasure, just waiting for us. Lord Lynx was the noble who ruled the remote territory of Regiora. He was also Kid's mortal enemy. We were there that night to steal a certain jewel he kept locked away in his most closely guarded vault, the Frozen Flame. The Frozen Flame was veiled in mystery. It was said to be imbued with an uncanny energy and possessed of a beauty and clarity that made it priceless a treasure. Countless thieves had tried to steal it. Not one of them had come close to succeeding. Nor had any of them escaped the manor alive. And now it was our turn to try and sneak into this place of death. Led by a girl who had the ambition to make the impossible possible, a hunger for vengeance that drove her onward, and a desire for riches that could never be satisfied. As we pressed on through the tree-filled darkness, the shadows gave way at last, revealing the true extent of the vast mansion. Yeah, this looks awfully like Magus's castle, but this is Lynx, and there's a very orange full moon in the back. Ha! Finally! Say your prayers, Lynx, cause we're coming for ya! Keeping up to the overgrowth and the shadows of trees, we made our way around the manor walls in search of a means of entry. Eventually, we came to a terrace overlooking the garden. There was no sign of any guards nearby. The only thing surrounding the manor was an uncanny stillness. This will lead us straight into the West Wing. Just as well, we don't have any business in the rest of the manor tonight, said McGill, gazing up at the dark building towering over us in the night. Alright then, what are we waiting for? With that, Kid made to vault over the railing of the terrace. Stop! McGill hissed sharply. Remember what we're here for. Our main target is the vault, and the Frozen Flame within it. We focus on this above all else. Your vengeance is of secondary concern. Agreed? Glancing over her shoulder, Kid replied with a reluctant, Yeah, don't get your knickers in a twist. But if we happen to run into him, I'm gonna knock that Drango's block off and neither of you or anybody else is gonna stop me. Guess Kid was going to get her way whether we liked it or not. Let's go, boys! The night is young! She cleared the railing with a sprightly hop and vanished inside the manor. I glanced toward McGill and nodded in silence. We followed Kid's lead and were soon inside Lord Lynx's lair. The darkness swallowed us all. corridor stretched off to the left and right from the terrace. It seems equally dark and chilly in both directions. We decide to go right down the corridor or left. Let's go left. We press on through the darkness, down corridors that turned and twisted, snake-like, this way and that. Everything around us was still and silent, and it felt strangely like we were being watched. It was as if countless eyes were staring silently from the shadows. We continued creeping cautiously around the corridor. Kid moved proudly and steadily like a cat stalking a prey, while in the shadow, Magill follows, gliding swiftly like a sinister deep. We pressed on to embrace of the Weaver of Fate. We took the corridor leading from the left-hand side of the terrace, eventually arriving at an intersection with some stairs. So yeah, basically, I had to read very fast because it was dropping. So this was a thing I had no control over. The path to the right led down the stairs. The path to the left was a dark side passage, and the main corridor continued straight onward. We went down the stairs. We continue onward. We went into the side passage to the left, or we turned back. Let's go to the side passage to the left. We headed down the side passage. We see the shadow of us on the window of the terrace. At the end of it, we came to an old, immaculately polished door. We turned back or we went inside. Kid gently pushed the door ajar and peeked into the room. The next thing I knew, she slipped inside. Magill and I followed. Looks like a study. The room was lit by the moonlight coming through the long, slender windows, slanting down in pale beams through the darkness. It was pretty big for a study, with an immaculate antique desk dominating the center. If this is like Link's Manor, this is basically where we found Balthazar. Sorry. There were rows of bookshelves lined with thick, dusty old tomes. The wall to the rear of the room was decorated with painting. The shelves of vases and painting plates stood before it. They all seemed to be curios from foreign land. I checked the desk, I checked the full bookshelf, I checked the painting. And I checked the desk. There I found a neatly arranged set of pens, ink bottles, and other writing materials. Nothing of interest, in other words. A small portrait on the desk caught my eye. It was a picture of a young girl with a gentle smile on her lips. Who was she? That's the girl Link's adopted. If you ask me, it wasn't cause he was looking to help the needy, said Kid, peering over my shoulder. So this must be Harley Quinn. She wrinkled her nose in distaste. Not even a looker. Oh, suddenly there was a knock at the door. It wasn't a loud knock, but in the bottomless silence of the night, it might as well have been a thunderclap. Kid and I stood bolt upright and turned down towards it. Magill, meanwhile, hid in the shadows, drifting away like smoke. Panic, I whispered to Kid. Hide behind the door in the shadows, hide under the desk. Behind the door. Quickly, get behind the door! We kept our bodies low as we silently and swiftly made for the back of the door, where the shadows would keep us hidden. We pressed our backs to the wall and did our best to still our breathing. Slowly, the door opened. Flickering candlelight spread from the doorway with a warm glow. I held my breath. But it seems that whoever it was didn't mean to come in. They simply stood there. Strange. I thought I heard something. But the lord of the manor is away, of course. Why would there be anyone in here? I have to get over my nerve. Everything was fine until we heard the news that Poor was on the move. The figure quietly closed the door, plunging the room back into darkness. The voice trailed off to a whisper. We remained motionless, keeping our ears pricked for any sign of an unwelcome return. All we heard was footsteps moving away. So Poor had made his move. McGill emerged from the shadow, contemplating the news we have heard. Kid, if the rumors are true, we might well be about to find ourselves in a very difficult situation. This seems to set her thinking too. Poor was a powerful nation that ruled the southern continent. I had heard it was a prosperous land whose recent and sudden development had pushed it far ahead of its neighbors, which made me wonder, what would its inhabitant want here, out in the sticks? They couldn't be after the frozen flame too, could they? As valuable as it might be, a jewel that was just a jewel in the grand scheme of things, I couldn't imagine it being an item of national interest. I mean, ultimately it was just a pretty rock, right? Huh. Let them do what they want. If everyone's busy playing soldiers, they won't be bothering us. Come on, we got things to do. She headed for the door. We left the room and made our way back down the side passage. We made our way back down the dark side passage leading from the study. Eventually, we arrived back at the intersection. Some stairs led downward, corridor branched left and right, with a right branch leading back towards the terrace. So... we're gonna go down the stairs. Slowly, we crept down the staircase, descending deeper into blackness as we went. At the bottom, the path split. The way to the left continued to an atrium that resembled a sort of plaza, while the path to the right was a winding passageway that trailed off into darkness. Took the passageway to the right, we went toward the atrium on the left, or we turned back. We're gonna go to the atrium, then the passageway, then we're gonna go up, and then go right. Kid poked her head through the arch-shaped door and took a look around. It's big in here. Must be some kind of hole. We took a caution look around and entered one after another. The atrium was like a beautiful plaza, complete with a statue that doubled as a fountain. Pillars and arcs lined the wall, and in the center was a small pool of clear water, above which the statue stood. On the other side of the room, I could see another arch entrance like the one we had come through. Ooh, that's cold! Kid was scooping up water from the fountain. I went over to her and, resting my hand on the edge of the marble basin, peered into the pool beneath. Shadows flicked under the water surface. You reckon those fish are rare, as invaluable? Kid leaned right over the edge. Couldn't see the bottom. I wonder how deep it was. The shadow of one of the fish grew larger and larger. Whoa! Sensing danger, Kid leapt back from the edge. Clack! A fish leapt out from the water and snapped at her, its jaw bristling with razor-sharp teeth. Its mouth closed shut on the air where she'd been only moments before, and with a splash, the fish darted back under the water. Pteranodons! Deadly carnivorous fish with razor-sharp teeth and powerful jaws that could snap a monster's horn in half. Staring in horror, I watched as a dark shadow began to gather in what little of the pool I could make out. The pteranodons must have detected prey. Soon the room was filled with the sound of splashing and snapping as the fish steamed at the water's surface. Bloody hell! Even Kid was uneasy. She took another step back. How many pteranodons were in the pool? The thought of what would happen if they all leapt clear of the water and attacked at once crossed my mind. A bit of cold sweat rolled down my forehead. Suddenly the water coming from the statue turned crimson and shot out in a powerful jet that nearly touched the ceiling. Kid jumped back to them again. Just stood in shock watching the torrent of water erupting from the statue. The scarlet waters continued to gush out from the fountain. The pool grew redder and redder and started to overflow. We looked on, entranced. The spell was soon broken when we realized that the water was starting to flow faster and faster over the rim of the basin. The pteranodons began to jump and snap at the water's surface with bloodthirsty glee. I was brought to my senses by the dull slapping sound of pteranodons hitting the floor. We rushed to the exit to the other side. Okay, we're gonna step in to deal with the fish. What? You want to try and pick this little lot off one by one? Kid glared at me, her face a picture of exasperated disbelief. Don't be a bloody idiot, Serge. You wanna die here? While I stood here, my mouth agape, pteranodon sank its teeth to my foot. A jolt of pain surged up my legs, making me jump. What was I gonna do? Rush to the exit on the other side, rush back the way we came, or deal with the fish? Apparently I'm on the up. I don't have time to decide. A bolt of pain shot up my calf and I came close to fainting. I stood my ground as best I could, flicking away the pteranodon that bit me. But soon a horrible ring of shadows began to circle the water around me. I was surrounded. What was I going to do? Rush to the exit? Quick, there's an exit on the other side. I pointed at the doorway opposite where we'd come in. I tried my hardest to rush across the red pool, standing up great gouts of crimson water, but it was as thick as blood and I found myself struggling to move. I felt sharp jabs of searing pain as countless pteranodons snapped at my legs. Kid gritted her teeth in pain. Serge, we gotta do something before we get turned into mincemeat. What was I going to do? Rush back the way we came? We have to get to the other side. We desperately tried to wade toward the exit opposite us. The water was already up to my waist. A strange smell like warm meat rose from the water's surface. Ah! I yelled as my left thigh and my right ankle simultaneously erupted with pain. It was still a long way to the exit on the opposite side. Let's try it. That's right. Those fish weren't going to stop me. We desperately tried to wade toward the exit opposite us. The water was already up to my waist. Countless pteranodons were tearing at my legs and the bites burned like fire. Oh, apparently we have to get out. Because this is looping. Oh, a red haze drifted down to fill my eyes. I lost my footing and crashed face first into the water. Oop. And a swarm of hungry pteranodons all piled in at once. Kid's screams grew more and more distant and my consciousness plummeted to bottom darkness. I died. And that was how I died. Was there any checkpoints? No, there were not. I have to start over.